All right, this is next day. Polyurethane is pretty much set on the parts that I did last night, the back of the inside and then the very back. I did stain the board for the sink. I'll show you that later. It's got a coating of polyurethane on it. It's in the basement drying. So that looks nice. It's the same color as this or similar. And then here's the drawers in. And I ordered some knobs, pull knobs, as opposed to hanging handles. We were thinking about doing hanging handles, and then we thought when we're driving, they're going to be clanging back and forth with the van on the road and driving us crazy. So I ordered some pull handles and a few extra ones because I don't know what I'm doing with the other cabinet. So they should be coming in sometime in the next 3 days, I think. So that's where we're at. The next thing I'm going to do is the cutting board, and I have the cutting board here. So that is wider than the opening, which I knew it would be. I already had the cabinet built before I looked for the cutting board, and I was looking for something about this size, and this was the biggest one that I could find. It's a little too wide, but the depth is what I wanted, and that's going to be like this, and then that'll be maybe a little bit less than that if it goes to the back. So it's going to stick out like that far. So that gives us a little bit of an extra thing, part of counter area, but it will allow us to pull it out probably about this far. And that'll be nice. Nice extension of the work area. So I'm going to cut that now. I figured we'd cut this area here, from here down, and the drip channel will be open, but we're not really looking at doing any kind of cutting like that on here anyway. We do have this side, and then there's a little pull here. So I'm not too worried about that. So I'm just going to cut that here and round the edge and call that a day. It does have a handle right here cut out, so you can use it kind of as a charcuterie board. So that is easy to grip and pull in and out. So let's get this cut. Okay, so I forgot to turn the camera on when I was cutting it, but I'm going to have to cut a little bit more. It's pretty tight sliding in, so here's how much I cut off. The inside, I was surprised to see it's got all kinds of pieces as the core, and then whatever they do on this outside here. So that's interesting. I don't know if that'll be a problem or not. Cut a little more off, and that it should be good then if it swells at all in the summer with the humidity. Nice. Okay, let's get the counter on there. All right, there we go. Like I said, it does stick out a little bit, but that gives it more depth. So we already have this much sticking out, and then if we pull it out like this, it's still, even though I don't have a support leg on it, it's still pretty solid and straight enough to just use it for a work surface. And then you can have something on the counter here, a cook pot or something. We have some electric cook pots that we're going to be using. And then this side will be facing the seats, so I don't know if I'm going to bother with that at all. here we are complete. Cutting board in and sink top in. And what I did with this was I made a cardboard template that just fit in here around. I think this tapers down, so the top is going to be the biggest and then starts tapering. So I figured if it went down a little bit, I knew I wasn't going to go down too deep with the board. And then I placed the cardboard on here, thumbtacked it on, and then I set the board on top to see where the positioning was for it, and traced it around, went a little bit bigger around parts of it so that I can trim more off if I needed to. So I want it to be a snug fit so it's not rattling back and forth when we're driving. And it turned out to be a little more difficult than I thought it would be. For some reason my router, it's a plunge router, and if you're not squeezing the plunge lever, it should stay in spot. And there's also a knob to tighten so it doesn't move. But as I was going around, it started going lower and lower, so one side was thicker than the other. And I noticed when I was coming around the side here, I'm thinking, geez, that seems awful thin. So I started adjusting it and paying more attention to it. So that's why I have some of these marks and stuff here where it should be even. And then I ended up going over the other part that was thicker and making that thinner so that it's pretty even. So now it fits nicely in here. And I haven't even considered that moving side to side. And this way it doesn't move at all. But that was surprising. It wasn't fitting. It was a little bit up over here, so I ended up routing a little more over here, and it was still up, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I ended up going along here on this side, all along here, and a little bit on this rounded part, and then it fit right in like a glove. And I was like, wow. I was satisfied. It was a nice ending to a lot of pain times where things weren't working out. So it's ready for the water pump to go in, and once that's mounted and the wires are all hooked up, then I'm good to do a test run. Time to install the handles on the drawers.
Wait, what happened to installing the pump?
And to make that easier, I picked up this King & Charles jig from Amazon. It was on sale for $10. They had a plastic one and one that had metal. This whole part here was metal, but these individual adjusters were all plastic still. Then they had a completely all metal one, and I think they were like $20 some and then $45. I thought this is enough. This will serve my purposes and any other drawers that I might be doing. And if I ever have an issue with this later on, I can always buy a better, higher grade one. But this should be fine. Comes in this little bag. It's basically 3 parts. I slid the plastic sleeve off already, but they had the plastic sleeve on here so that the edges, these parts, these ends don't dig into your bag. The bag is pretty thick. It's like a thin gym bag. It's not real flimsy. It's gonna serve the purpose. Take one of these off, slide this one on in here. For some reason they have the ruler upside down in the setup, so I don't know why that is. And you screw your thumb screws in. Screw that one in. So this goes on here like this. So then you do some measurements, and you'll end up using these for the holes of your handles. So we'll get over to the drawers and figure out the measurements right now. All right, I'm going to want to put the handles. They're I think they're 3-inch or 3.7 inches. I want to put them in the middle here. So I want them centered this way and centered this way, and that's what the jig is going to help us do here. It comes with what looks like a pretty good pictorial instruction set. I watched several videos on it, so I'm going to just kind of try to go with it, and if I have any issues I can refer to this. So you want to mark your center. So I'm going to put a piece of tape there, and I'll mark the tape, and then we can take the tape off. We won't have to actually mark the drawer itself. I don't know where it's at. I'm going to guess it's right about there. We'll see. What do we have here now? 1, 2, 3.5. So that's 7/16. Let's see if that measures the same on both sides. Nope, that's off. Alright. Alright, when I measured it, it was actually, that was 7/8, it was actually 9/16. But then when I was working out the halves, this doesn't go to 30 seconds on here. So I was trying to work that out, and that wasn't working, so I decided to go metric. So I did 21. The whole thing was 42.7 centimeters. So then I divided that, which comes out to 21.35 centimeters. And then when I measured that to the center, I marked it, and it's 21.35. And then when I measured it this way, it turned out to 21.35. So metric is a lot more accurate and easy to work with, actually. Okay, so we're going to go with that. And now we have to line this up. So this is going to be the center here. All right, so I set this on top of here, and I'm lining up the arrow, the triangular window, to that center point. All right, just measured this in metric, and it is 16.8, which is 8.4 centimeters, and I marked it there, and I measured it each way, and it's 8.4 each way. Let me get the drawer here, and we'll slide this down to, I say it was 8.4, 8.4. That doesn't seem right. 8.4. All right, I got it figured out now. It took a little bit, but I got the center here, and that's 8.4 centimeters. So you mark the 8.4 centimeters to the bottom of this slide here. So that's on 8.4 now. So that's going to give you your vertical. And if I set it here and I look through the drill hole here, that lines right up with my center, the center line I have marked on the tape. So now I have to get the get this in the center. You look down, there's a triangle here, to look through right here. So mark, get that in the center. The drawer is too big. It's too wide to actually have the center on 0. So I'm going to mark this here, center. Okay. Check it again. Move a little bit. I'm just going to adjust this side piece here. Just move that a little bit. Yeah, that's still in the center there. Okay, so this should be good. Now I have to measure the holes for the handle. I needed to get the spacing for the handle. This is like 3.79 inches, some weird measurement. So I ended up doing it, I just put the screws through the holes and screwed this onto the slides. And then I just eyeballed it for centering it, putting the gap between these, between the centerpiece here. And I think it's good enough. I did it a couple of times, and once I got it to the positions, I put a pencil mark onto the drawer from the hole here, and then I measured with a square and measured the distance here, and it's you aren't gonna be able to see that, but the mark is right here, and this is right on the mark. But if I go to this side, maybe a millimeter and a half, 2 millimeters. So I'm not going to worry about that. You're not going to be able to tell if each drawer is in the same position, each handle's in the same position on the drawers going down. You're not going to notice that little bit of a difference. So in another situation, you might be able to get it to be exact, but I'm not going to worry about it and just go with this. The only thing, each of my drawers is a different height this way. So I'm going to have to adjust the height on it, which I don't think is an issue. That worked out well. I think the video was cut off at the top of the video before, but you do your measurement to the bottom of this plastic hole here, this plastic part here. So I think it was 8.4 millimeters or centimeters. So that'll be an easier adjustment, but the horizontal adjustment I won't have to change. So I think this will work fine now. But I don't know if a better quality jig would work any differently. Maybe if it was a wider ruler and you could actually have the 0 at the center. This is only, in this case, millimeter or centimeter wise, it's only 20 centimeters from center out. And this whole thing here is only a total of 16 inches, which is the entire width of the drawer, but just a little bit more where the routed edge is. So for a smaller drawer, this would work perfectly. It comes with a punch. You push it and it's spring loaded and it'll impact a hole. I just noticed online when I was looking for a video to see what I was missing here and trying to get this to work. The person that was in the video had drill bits that seemingly came with his, and I looked, and the same store on Amazon has 2 different ones for the same price. Everything's the same, comes with this, but the other one came with 3 drill bits, which I don't care, I have drill bits, but it came with 3 like sizes of drill bits that would be probably standard for drawers. So that's kind of annoying. So let's mark this here, and this fits right in the hole. It's the same size as the hole. And this one here, making sure everything's in place. And then we'll look and see what we have there. Okay, this one didn't punch as much of a hole, but that's okay. get our hole drilled here, along with a tiny bit. That looks good, I think. Yeah, and we'll figure out the bit that we need for. This is the next size up that I have. I'll try this and see. Nope, just a little too small. All right, so I'll have to get a bigger one. I don't know if I have one in this kit. Maybe this one. Yeah, this one should work. All right, finally got the bit that will work. Okay. Moment of truth here. Let's see if everything lines up. Looks like there might be just enough sticking out to screw the handles in. Just the right amount. Let's see if we can get this started here. Okay. Get this one in here. Okay, it seems good. Let's look straight down here. Yeah, looks good to me. Okay, let's do a few measurements and see what it looks like. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Yep, it's still off by that tiny bit. Very, very little. If right there. This drawer is 23 centimeters, so half of that would be 11 and a half. So I went with 11 and a half on here and marked my spot over here, and it's not quite in the center, it didn't seem. I measured it and it was pretty close. It's off just a tiny fraction like the other measurement. But on this side, it seems like it's right on. So my drawer might be a little cockeyed. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to go with that. So I'll do the punch here. And I didn't change any of the vertical here. Okay. Ta-da! All right, one more to go. This one worked out to be 12.8, so I put this on 12.8 up here, centimeters, and when I marked the spot for the over here, and then I flipped it and marked it over here, those were exactly the same this time. So I'm thinking that drawer was off for whatever reason, off square or something. So let's get this one going. Let's see how these look now. For that amount that's off, my drawers are slightly off vertically here. The top one is to the right a little bit more. And they're not on runners, so they're just floating in there. So they're going to move back and forth anyway a little bit. I'm satisfied. The only thing with this tool, I think that there might be a little bit of an inaccuracy with it, especially when I was trying to line up the holes for the handle and center it. It may have been easier, like I said, if the drawer was a little not as wide and you could get the center on 0 on the ruler. But otherwise, I didn't find that to be too helpful there. It's too hard to figure it. I was just eyeballing it, and then I measured between the gaps between here and here, and then made some marks, just a tiny little mark. Measured the sides just to see how it was. It was off by a little bit, and that was going to be good enough. But I think I can see that not being a problem in most cases, and then in some cases maybe being a problem depending on what the application is. So for $10, I think this saved me a lot of time. Maybe not time, but at least figuring and making my own jig or measuring these to get these in the exact spot. So overall, I would say I'm satisfied with it, and I'll use it if I have any other drawers or cabinets. I don't know what I'm going to be putting in the other cabinet in the van.